edition.
Growing up African first gen edition. I gotta give y'all that's y'all title.
Yes.
Yeah,
A joint effort.
So
Yeah.
listen, we about to have a dope conversation. I got some dope people here with me. Introduce yourself, because I don't want to.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Annette.
And my name is Netta.
Okay, where you guys from? Background, culture, ethnicity.
Okay, we're from Philly. We were born in New York. Our parents met in Brooklyn. That's where we were born. We moved to Philly when we were really young, so we spent most of our lives in Philly. But our mom is Liberian and Guinean, and our father is Guyanese. So we are African and Caribbean, and we grew up in America.
So a lot of different things happening there, different cultures,
different religions.
Different religions, yes.
Oh, wow.
Our dad's
mother,
family is Christian, but he reverted to Islam. Our mom grew up Muslim, so then they got married. They were Muslim. We're Muslim. So
So
and
and
here
this
we are.
Gonna be dope conversation. So I'm Haitian, born in Florida, raised in Boston. So it was dope meeting them, right? Because I think a lot of people from the States don't realize, yes, we are nationally American because we were born there, but growing up first generation, being from different culture and country ethnically, right? It's a whole different experience. And because people always when I make comments sometimes, people are like, oh, but you're American. I'm like,
nationally.
Slow
down.
You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's different, right? So
it's different.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because we have a different upbringing than a Black American, right? Whose parents are from the States, right? Versus me, like my family got to the States and then 2 years later I was born. So in our household, we're not growing up on
like just certain
cookouts
things.
and
or like even Thanksgiving is not like a thing until like your parents start understanding it more and assimilating a bit. But like that's not something that they
the
grew
first
up
couple
doing.
of years of your life, you probably didn't have a Thanksgiving.
I didn't even think about that till you said it. To be honest,
because I'm trying to think like what are things about the Black experience that's like oh I can understand now, but it's like not something that's firsthand a part of like
things like soul food is not like a thing. Certain like music, you just didn't like.
People were talking about grits. I didn't have grits until what? Maybe college.
I didn't
if
have
not late high school.
Until high school,
I didn't know what grits were, and then people like you never had grits, and I'm like I'm African, bro. Like we be eating rice. Like we do have certain like breakfast style porridges and stuff like that. But the same way that you wouldn't have it, and we're both here in America, it's the same way. I wouldn't have what you had growing up.
So let me ask you this.
Grits are good.
This is a question for y'all. When y'all are in the States, do you guys, when people ask, oh, where you guys from? Like, I mean, you might say Philly, but in terms of like culture-wise, you guys say, oh, we're African, or I'm African American, or you say American, or what? Like, what's your response?
It honestly depends. Like for me, I'm gonna let Netta answer, but it depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And where I'm at. Like in college, if people ask where you're from, they're kind of asking like, where do you live? I say I live in Philly, or I live in Philadelphia. Okay. Yeah, I usually don't say Philly unless I'm talking to a Philly person. I just say Philadelphia. I don't know, but if I'm talking to Africans, they ask me like where I'm from. Oh, you're African. Where you're from? I'll say like where I'm from. If I'm talking to a Caribbean person, then I'll tell them like my dad's side, but we grew up with our mom. So a lot of like the West African culture is what we grew up on. So we kind of like, you know,
that's like a strong
adhere
part of
to
our
that.
identity.
Yeah, we adhere to that a bit more than, our Caribbean side. Although
side.
most people say like you are what your father is. Like obviously we're both, but as far as like how you grew up and a lot of things that we do and even being Muslim, culturally, a lot of like Islam influences the culture anyway. So it's like a lot of things they just go hand in hand anyway for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just depends on who I'm talking to. But like if we have some type of commonality, I'll tell people, and then later I may say, oh, like, and my dad is from Guyana if they ask like, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. I would say same. Like honestly, we grew up like with our mom. She's West African down. She is a Liberian Guinean woman all the way. And we just grew up with a lot of her influence and a lot of her culture. A lot of the food that we ate was like West African food, particularly Liberian food. Because she grew up in Liberia for most of her life. Even though she was kind of between Liberia and Guinea for the time that she was in Africa. Um, and yeah, like we visit our father's side, we see him, we see our father's side of the family. We've eaten Guyanese food before. We have our cousins who they speak patois. Like, is that what? I don't know. I guess that's what you call it.
I don't know.
I
I would just say like
Guyanese.
It is, but I feel like some people say it for all Caribbean cultures.
Yeah.
But I would just say like like
Guyanese English. I
yeah,
guess.
essentially.
Yeah.
I don't like using the term broken English because it sounds like it has a bit of a negative connotation.
Yeah.
Like it's still English, it just has an accent to it. I wouldn't necessarily call it broken.
Yeah. But yeah, like a lot of our influence is really West African with kind of like a sprinkle of Guyanese in there. So yeah.
So when you guys are abroad, right? So when you're traveling now, do you say I'm African? Do you say I'm American? Like, again, it's who you're speaking to.
Kind of same thing. Like obviously we're from the United States. We're like speaking English, so they're gonna know that.
Yeah.
But like if it's someone that understands ethnically where you'd be from, it's just easier because I sometimes don't feel like giving people like a whole history lesson on like where, Guyana or Guinea or Liberia is.
It can be a lot, especially when you're like different cultures. It's kind of hard to explain to people what exactly you are, because not everybody even knows what Guyana is. Like some people don't know where Guyana
geographically
is.
Everyone needs to do better, because I even sometimes talking to West African people and say, oh, our dad is Guyanese,
and they think Ghana.
I think I know where my father was from. Thank you.
They're like,
thank
you
so
saying
much.
Ghana? I'm like, no,
Guyana. I know where Ghana is, and it's not in South America.
Isn't Ghana in Africa? I'm like, he's not from Ghana.
He's not African. I didn't tell you that. We got critical thinking, listening, comprehension skills. We got to work on it, guys. We got to get better. It's okay.
So what would you say, right? Because all the time you'll hear like people be like, when you're having like a cultural conversation, right, or a cultural comment, they'll be like, oh, but you're American, right? Like in terms of like, let's go into the upbringing being different in the States, right? Like how you guys have kept that, how that's different from, we're first gen, right? So we're not growing up on the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, feet on land, but we're not growing up how like Black American people are either.
Yeah, it's a little different, honestly. Like
I think it's a lot different.
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't say a little, but it really is a lot. Like when you grow up with like a foreign parent, like in that States, house, you are what they are. They don't care if you were born in America. You are whatever they are. You're gonna eat the food that they eat. You're gonna be raised like how they were raised, the way you're disciplined, what you're promoted to pursue in terms of school. All of that is very connected to where they grew up. It's not connected to what is going on in America. The music that you listen to, even the clothes that you wear, like certain clothes, I cannot wear them around my mom. Like she's very hip, like she's
our mom's
like,
super fashion.
I guess what you would say like the typical like
West African mom. Because our mom will dress like all types of ways. Like she'll have the bazan on, wear a lapa, in the house, obviously. House dress. But then like she got her Zara on. She got the Louis Vuitton, like designer girl. Very much it girl. Yeah, like if you see our mom, like people be thinking she's our sister. And, she just
hippity hip.
Yeah, like she does it all. Long line of it girls. Not the first one.
And she did have us like she got married very young. She had us very young. She had 2 kids by the time she was 22.
So she's not like she's under 50.
Yeah, she was married like before she like I don't know like really young.
Yeah, like before you like grow up. I feel like late 20s is where you kind of really come into yourself and like kind of grasp your full identity. That frontal lobe. So like
by 20, she was married with a baby. So super young.
she's growing as we're growing and stuff like that. She was able to assimilate to American culture because she came here when she was younger in her teenage years, and she still hold on to her culture. She still speaks the languages. She cooks the food, all those things, and she speaks it fluently.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she still understands how to navigate in society in America.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she still understands certain things. You know, sometimes we still have to
explain
certain things to her as well, but like for the most part she understands how America works. She's been in America for like 30 years.
Yeah.
So like it's a little bit of both. You know, it's nice having best of both worlds where your parents can be receptive but they still hold on to those values from their culture. So it's nice.
She still has an accent. Even our father, he's Guyanese. He came here in his 20s,
I think so,
like early 20s, and he still has an accent.
The Guyanese accent.
Yes.
But yeah, both our parents still have their accent.
And they came here relatively young. They still have their accent.
They can code switch, but even when they code switch, people
you can
still
hear
like
it.
Our friends that are like Black American, they'll be like, "Oh, your mom
has an accent."
Yeah, like your mom has such a cute accent. And I'm like, I don't hear it that much when she code switches. I feel like she code switches really well, and I'm pretty good with accent. But people still hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And our father, he hardly tries to code switch. He still sounds like full on Guyanese man.
Yes.
So you know.
I have a funny story. So I'm gonna keep it short though. I'm gonna keep it short and cute. So being in Philly, sometimes people just pronounce words whatever way they feel like with slang. Like, you know how you say I brought something, you know, the past tense of bring is brought, but they say brung. And when I was younger, I'm just hearing what the kids are saying. So I go say that in front of my dad. I'm like, oh, I brung it. And he was like, brung is a color, brung is a color. And he's saying brown.
But
brown is we're both wrong because it's brown. It's not brung.
Now y'all both arguing.
You know, we both wrong. I'm looking at him like, Daddy, it's brown, not brung. He's like, brung is a color. Like he's still 10 toes on that. And that was just so funny to me because brung is not how you pronounce brown.
Yeah.
But brung is also not the past tense of bring. So that's a funny thing about how like Black American culture, Caribbean culture, saying the same things, but they're meaning completely different things.
Yeah.
And they're both incorrect.
So do you so I will touch on that, right? With the different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Do your friends or whoever like notice the difference or make comments like understand that like, hey, like, yes, like we're born in the States, but we're still African. It's in certain when certain things happen. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, are they like, oh no, you're American? Like you should.
I would say in high school, certain people did not understand things like the autonomy that some people have. I'm like, hey, listen. I'm not scared of my mom, but I'm scared of my mom. Like I can't go there. I can't do that. I have to ask my mom before I do X, Y, and Z. Yes, she may think I'm at school, but I'm not gonna go somewhere anyway. Like she may not see where I'm going. She may not know what's going on, but I'm still gonna tell her just out of respect. That's what I do. Even now at this big rusty age of 26, Mom is still calling us here. Time difference and all. She's like, hey daughters, how's it going? So like, you just check in with your parents, especially as young women. Like that whole I'm legally an adult at 18, that means nothing when you're foreign parents. That means nothing. You'll be 50-year-old and they're still at 80. They're going to be calling you, hey, what's going on? Checking in. Yeah. And that's just like.
That's a her thing too, because she's like a little overprotective, but it's also a foreign thing. Like your parents are always your parents and you're always their child. You're always their baby. You could be 50 and they're like 80 and you're still their baby, even though like you're grown, you have your own kids, you might even have some grandkids at that time. They might be great grandparents, but you're still their child.
Big on respecting elders, even when you become an adult yourself. And that was something that was a little odd for me once I got into college and like professors are saying to call them by their first name. I'm
weird.
Like, whoa, that was really big for me. And like even advocating for yourself, because sometimes the culture can become a bit like hard to navigate when you get older, like being able to advocate for yourself, because adults are not always right, or like people that are older than you are not always right.
And you're expected to have the discourse even with people who have like years, like who are years older than you, who are your parents' age, who are older than your parents. Like it's expectations that you talk with them, that you kind of challenge them, because that's how you learn. But in our culture, that's not something that you do. You don't go back and forth with people who are older than you, because it's disrespectful. It's
so
rude.
Like, yeah, being big on respect is good, but being able to advocate for yourself regardless of who you're talking to in a respectful manner is super important, because people are not always right. You don't want anyone to take advantage of you. So it's nice to be able to, like I said, taking parts of the culture that are really good and help us stay as a community and grounded, while also being able to pick up some things and learn some things that help us navigate life and not hinder us from being our best selves or being stuck under, I guess, everyone else's expectations of you.
And make our culture better and make our people, like, as a whole grow. Because there are some things, like, in our cultures that kind of keep us, that kind of hold us back, that kind of keep us, in the same place, doing the same thing all the time. There's no growth, because it's kind of like you've done the same thing all the time and you just have to keep doing it that way because that's how you're expected to act. But like, there are some things in African cultures, there are some things in Caribbean cultures that kind of hold us back as people, and taking the good parts of our culture and kind of phasing out the not so good parts is super important. And it's something that, like, a lot of first generation African and Caribbeans are even doing now, that are like that are helping.
It's helping.
Do you guys, I'll touch on the community point. Do you guys notice a difference in the communal connection, being African versus like the Americans? Like when you're like maybe friends or colleagues or student classmates?
One thing that's new that Netta even brought up to me is, like, me and Netta live together. Like, we moved out of our parents' house and we now live together, just me and her. And some people don't understand how we're able to live together. Like, some people don't get living with their siblings, or even having like multiple generations living under one household. Like we didn't have that growing up. But like in a lot of foreign countries, like, very big on family. It's a lot of people, all hands on deck. Like if mom is at work, dad's at work, grandma is there babysitting, aunt is there babysitting.
Kids live with
taught you to walk.
Their parents, for like, sometimes you're living in the same area with your parents up until you're like you might get married and not you move out of the house, but you don't necessarily move away from your parents.
All in the same area.
In the same area, but you still are maybe living around your mother and your father. So
like staying connected with your immediate family while also creating your own family. That's not something you see too often. Just sticking close together. People don't really understand that. Even like as close as me and Netta are, some people think we're twins, and we're just like very close in age, but also very in sync. But we have very different personalities at the same time.
Y'all can probably even tell, like, I'm a little more on the reserved side, and
I'm a little more bubbly.
Like, she's a little more bubbly and chatty. And like,
chatty Cathy.
People try to put us together though, like, because we look alike and we're close in age, they think that we're a monolith, and they can see that our personalities are different, but because we spend so much time together, they do group us together. And like, people don't really understand like how we can be different as sisters, because we're so close, but then they also don't understand how we're so close. But that is a part of our upbringing,
culture.
The
like
culture is important. Our mom has always instilled that in us.
Do you guys see that in the States, like it's not as much family closeness, I guess you can say?
Like America, the United States is a very individualistic society. It's not very community based. It's kind of like for self. Very dog eat dog. I'm gonna be honest.
It's not like,
so people don't see that.
For sugar type thing.
And it used to be like that, even within like the Black American communities. That was a big thing, and I feel like that's what was helping, the Black communities. But I don't know where it's coming from, where this propaganda. I feel like it's all this hustle culture and this guy in the stock market person telling you to do this, even though they didn't even do that to get money. They had money for 11 years and they got it passed down to them from their family. But then they're telling you that you should stop talking to everyone and not sleep or eat and just work. It's also tearing people apart.
A lot of people just aren't like, the space for community is there, but a lot of people really aren't tapped in. And I'm not going to say it's everybody's fault, because certain reasons why people have removed themselves for community, because even in our community as Africans, as Caribbeans, even as Americans, like there are certain things that are kind of swept under the rug with certain communities, and that is what causes people to separate. Because and that's a part of what we were talking about a little earlier with like phasing out the bad things, like keeping abusers around, keeping like predators around, and kind of sweeping that under the rug is something that a lot of foreigners do. It's something that a lot of Black people do in the sake of like keeping community. And I think that also has played a part in like the individualism that we see with Americans, but like Black Americans, a lot of people trying to break away from that.
Yeah,
Like
it
that
can be
kind
a
of
toxic
or toxic
environment.
culture and environment.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're gonna wrap it up right there. First gen conversation. You already know what you got to do. Hit that like button. Comment below. Comment below what your thoughts on the video. If you are first generation living in the U.S., comment your thoughts. Shoot, if you just straight African, you just arrived over there as well. Comment, because however you feel that your difference in your experience might be. Actually, last question, right? Last question, because did you, with the Africans here, right? We kind of went into it a little bit in the other video, but do you guys, how would you mentioned it the other day, and you said it how, like you said it best, but like, how do you notice the Africans here versus the Africans that were born in Africa that moved to Europe versus like the Black Americans in the States?
Like how do I notice the difference?
Yeah. In terms of assimilating in the society, right? Because of the U.S. and I guess Europe.
Like I kind of explained that like America, like Black Americans, they have a Black American culture that's different from Africans, that's different from Caribbeans, that's different from like white Americans. It is super distinct. And even though somebody may look African, like they could be Black American and their family has been in America for like hundreds of years, but they look like somebody who's West African. And I know some people who like, I look at them and I'm like, you could be from this country in Africa. Like you definitely look like that, but they have a distinct culture. Whereas like in Europe, there isn't a distinct Black insert European country culture. Like there's no Black French culture. Like in my opinion, I have a lot of experience with like particularly just Caribbeans, like French and like the dynamics of Black people in French, just because I have visited France like a good amount of times, and I know someone who used to live in France, and we talked about that, and we even kind of discussed that, and he's like, there's no like French Black culture. Like they're either wherever they came from or they try to align themselves like with the white French, but there's no kind of like in between. Even if they've been living, their family has been in France for years, because there are people in France who are Black who have been there since like maybe like the 1600s. There are some people like that. They don't just go back and they don't just disappear. They stay, but they kind of move or like phase out. Maybe they marry somebody who is white, or maybe they'll marry somebody who is like African or Caribbean, and it kind of just it disappears a little bit. It's not really distinct, and it doesn't just like stay Black French. That's separate from all these other cultures kind of mixing around them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, there you have it, man. We're gonna wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed this dope conversation. Hit that like button, comment below, and what else they gotta do?
Subscribe.
We out. Let's get it.